The video gonna be about hip hop whitewashed to downplay reality, and that just pretty much as the title suggests. What they've done is corporate the game. Hip hop ain't even the same as it was 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. It's done like that on purpose. With each passing decade, it's become synonymous with breaking it down, broken, broken on purpose. There was a time that I remember when hip hop was scary, where it was like, oh, we can't listen, like our kids are the criminal, you're just all you're. But now, but they've done it in such a way that they've less education, selling more lifestyle, less knowledge. That's one of the problems that has occurred. Used to be a what we call a amalgam of diversity of the culture. You had the enlightened, you had the engaging, and you had the display of different styles. So if you wanted something a particular way, you could go from Public Enemy to an NWA to a Two Live Crew. Then you could have a Ghetto Boys, you could have X Clan. You had groups, you had philosophies, you had takes. Then eventually they made it pop bubblegum, pop. Then they had it thug oriented. Then they had it knowledgeable. They put it in one category. They've made it like a one configuration of a spin to sell you on a lifestyle. And all the female rappers are one and the same. Used to be intellectually challenging to counter the the isms that would go on. See, that's the thing that's been lost about it. And then once they didn't confine, what they didn't done is they watered down. So because a lot of the rappers end up doing movies, uh, being compartmentalized into becoming spokespeople, so they get commercialized. But what ended up happening is they took the individualism out of them. So the cats that once were scary are in the evening on prime time. Ice T, Law and Order, and other programs. Ice Cube movies, all kinds of stuff. See how they confined it, watered it down. You already had a Will Smith. You saw how that goes. LL Cool J, Queen Latifah. On one hand you diversify your portfolio, but on the other hand, the message and the vibe of you gets watered down. They don't. They the consistency. So there is no counter replacements. There was nobody else coming along that was saying things that would balance out what they're putting down. And when they would bring a so-called subconscious, they still watered them down. That's what happened to Common. He's a Hollywood doing all kinds of things, with John Legend doing all kinds of stuff, which that's not how rappers were once upon a time. But that's what they sell you on the philosophy. They get them grinning, shaking, and rolling dice and everything nice. That's what happened with Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest. So-called philosophical, so-called depth, and so-called consciousness got bought and paid for. All of them. Only one that's been, but the only handful that I will say that have been consistent with their thing, I'd probably say was Public Enemy. I can almost say that. Most of them been bought and paid for in some form of capacity. There's nothing wrong with making money, but they became an emphasis on the CEO pseudo, like you a tycoon. That's what Puffy, Jay Z, but selling you on. Master P was doing it too, but his out the stories out the trunk of your truck with your trunk of your car with your mixtapes or whatever you're doing, and then and then Baby Williams and so on. Herb Gotti was trying to sell it like they also get caught trying to sell a lifestyle that's not them. The old mafia names and the recruitment of this imagery, and that's how Snoop became like Middle America. Russell Simmons selling it all. I mean, you look at the imagery, the stylings. You saw a precursor with Little Kim and Foxy Brown, but then they took it up another notch with Nicki Minaj and Meg The Stallion and now Sexy Brie. So all that stuff's been window dangling like with that. They took the female. You went from someone who was conscious but with appeal and versatility like Lauryn Hill to what you got now. How did that happen? Because they didn't whitewash the brains. And once they took out a Tupac who was a revolutionary in terms of the Panther aspect and also forms, they used that, manipulated that, and found clones of that. Biggie was an integral, just rapping. They were rapping off the science. They wanted something, You get someone like Nas who's like, start off like on the philosophy like Rakim, but there is a commercial aspect there. Then they bring in other folks to kind of homogenize it more, you know. So you've seen how it has played itself. It has no longer been hip hop, the rawest form. I understand it. You know, if you're an Outkast fan, I understand part of the reason why Andre 3000 doesn't want to rap no more. Because part of it is because that culture is long gone. They have not talked about black consciousness and subconscious and the depths and the magnitudes, and you can't even say when. But that was done on purpose. That's part of throwing the money, the lifestyle, the big Willie syndrome, and that whole that it's no longer the way you remembered it. And it's never coming back. Yes, cats can still rap and still do stuff, but they're never the same as they were. And that's not saying to go back and be like it was. However, it's also saying your identity can't be that removed, can it? Unless, of course, there was an agenda to push the prison cultural aesthetic, to also downplay the educational rhythm, and you start to see the configurations and the confines that have been used to. No one ever talks about coming together in the spirit. Where's the we're in the same gang together? How do you get to a point where we talk about we're in the same gang from the West Coast to not like us with Kendrick Lamar? See, even people that take in on these battles and take on this persona are being forced to divide to be profitable. See, when you start to make it make sense, you start to see what they're doing, and it's real calculated and slick how it is. That's how the game is removed, because it says, well, if you do this, we can still grow the brand, even though it's not under the same aesthetics, but we removed it. That's how it's been done and slick. Because when you don't own what you're doing, that's how it gets bought and paid for. And people don't understand that because they just going into the flow and they going and rapping about it, but it is not even close to being identified. That's how far removed it is. And the sad part is, most people, especially black folks under the age of, I want to say under 40, have been raised by it. That's all the artists they know. The people that have been sampled and looped and took, a lot of them don't even know. Not saying that they've heard of them, but they won't understand the musical process because it has been done on purpose. And that's the problem I have with it. That's why when I talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fames and you ask yourself about the artistry who don't get acknowledged, but the ones who come along and sample and loop and take are getting seen as some musical greats and depths, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. That is the sad, hardcore reality. But that's what the powers that be did. They brought a new plantation in a new way to put sugar and cover the minds and give you that diabeticnism that they're selling. Please like, subscribe, work on thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another share. If you like, hit that membership, because when you do the videos you request, I bring them back to you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay true, stay real, stay focused, stay on the one, stay woke. I'm out one time. Peace.